Okay, welcome back again. Thank you. So we're here to talk about a pretty big topic, the future of humankind. I'm just going to remind you at this point that this is a turning point conversation. So if you want to ask a question, and I certainly would encourage you to do so, please come up to the front and line up on this side to ask a question at the end of the talk, and you'll get an opportunity to do that. But now we have the head of global data analytics from E.ON to tell us a little bit about how data can save the planet. It sounds like a pretty big topic to me. So Juan Bernabe Moreno is joining us today. Thanks, Juan. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm bringing you a big question here. Can data change our energy and save our lives? Yeah? Save our Earth? Yeah? I'm a very systematic guy, so I'm going to approach this question in a very systematic way. So I'm going to start talking about data. As a matter of fact, data is being gathered everywhere. So if you have a look, for example, well, in 1 minute internet today, we have people logging almost 1 million times in Facebook. We have 500,000 videos being watched in YouTube in the space of 1 minute, or 500,000 tweets being sent, right? The trend is going to stabilize? No, the trend is going to explode. Why? Because we have these small devices being connected to internet everywhere. We have IoT, and by 2020, we expect the number of 26 billion devices connected. And these 26 billion devices, they are going to create 63 million connections per second. You can imagine how much data we are generating there, right? In the energy sector, we are talking about almost 2,000 million devices also connected out of that. Now, we've been gathering data for a while. If I was giving this talk, say, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, probably the topic would be big data, would have been big data. Now, as you can see there, companies have been investing in getting data, gathering data also very strongly. They've been creating the infrastructure. What happens then is like 2 years ago, they started thinking about what's the value of that? What can we do with data, right? And they stopped thinking or searching for big data as such, and they started looking into ways of making sense of this data. So as you can see there in this chart from Google Trends from 2017, 2 topics, machine learning and artificial intelligence, which is a broader topic for machine learning, started overpassing the searches for big data. Of course, everybody's talking about AI, and the investment in AI, they are huge. You can see here in 1 minute now is, according to McKinsey, 50K is invested in AI topics. Talking about AI, artificial intelligence. I mean, you can ask everywhere, you can attend many talks, and you're going to have probably 20 different definitions, right? I'm going to give you only 2. One functional, and one to give you some food for thought, okay? That's a functional one. It's a very simple one. AI enables us to find answers to questions we couldn't answer before just by having data. That's the functional one, the one we're going to use. But actually, if you think of AI in terms of creating machines mimicking human behavior, what we are doing is just that, teaching a handful of sand. Why sand? Because we are talking about the machine. Machine is made of chips and a motherboard, and chips are made of silicon, and silicon can be found in the sand. And we are trying to make a handful of sand think. That's for you to have a look, to have a think of. Now, let's talk about carbon-free energy. The question is not what it is, but why aren't we having that yet? So what's preventing us from being there, right? And to give you a bit of head-ups, the energy requirements of this world is increasing. For example, here, this new element coming, which is a Bitcoin, right? This country, Hungary, the consumption of this country got overpassed by the Bitcoin mining industry last January. The Bitcoin mining industry is going to get as much energy requirements as Austria and Chile and bigger countries. So the energy requirements of the country, of the world, is increasing. Now, I put here the reasons I think we are not there yet, apart from this increase. Because renewables, we've been investing a lot of renewables, but we are not there yet. Why? Because renewables, they are very demanding in terms of they need a lot of space, they need to be put in strategical locations, so it's difficult. Secondly, the world of renewables, they are adding more and more energy, but this technology is not replacing existing one. This energy is adding on top of them. It's additive. Yeah? Third reason, as we said, in the renewables space, energy is created in very remote places, very exotic places. Now we need to transport this energy to the homes of everybody and to where the consumption is made. So for that, the requirements for our power grid, they increase. The power grid, if you know a bit about that, is about stability, because it's a frequency. You need to transform, physically transport energy from one place to another one. But again, nobody can predict and control wind. Nobody can predict the weather. Well, they can predict the weather, but they cannot control the weather, right? So weather is making the activity in the grid very stable, for which it's very important to get it aligned. Now, from the consumer perspective, what's preventing us from being there? Energy is not sexy. Nobody gives a damn about energy. People care about having a plaque on the wall and having probably a low bill at the end of the month or of the year. But it's boring, actually. It's not sexy. We need to make energy sexy. And people don't understand energy either. So people don't know what a kilowatt hour is. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And then storage, because if you depend on something that's very changing, like a renewable source, you need to store energy to secure the supply. But it was mentioned before here, the battery technology is not there yet. So we need to get our battery technology so way better. And last but not least, it's technologically very challenging, the topic related to e-mobility. One of the carbon sources is the cars. And if we don't get e-mobility being imposed everywhere, we're going to have an issue. Now, let's pull all the pieces together, right? We have data, we have questions we need to solve in order to address these issues. How can we solve these issues? And we have data and AI. Now the question is, can we really use data and AI to answer these questions? I'm going to run you through ways of doing that. By the way, this is real. This is not future. This is something that we are working on also as we speak, right? Let's talk about generation. The challenges we have in the generation about the wind park is we need to make the most of that, for example. We need to make sure that we get the maximum yield, because otherwise we are not going to be ever competitive with other not carbon-free ways of generating energies. It requires to optimize the layout of the park. It requires to optimize the wake. Wake is actually, when you think of a wind turbine, to make sure that you get all the yield possible without having a shadowing effect on the turbines behind you, right? I'm going to show it in a minute. We need to make sure that the operations of wind parks, they run at the lowest cost possible, because otherwise the energy, again, gets very expensive. Let me show you one example we prepared here. That's for you to see how we manage wake with data. Those are two wind turbines. And imagine that we are getting air from this side, right? OK. So as you can see, the first wind turbine is getting all the air, which means that the one behind is not getting any air at the moment. It's completely shadowed. But if you modify the yaw angle, so the angle, then the first one gets less energy, but they get less air, but the one behind starts getting more and more power. So it's the concept of optimizing and the whole wind park by letting these wind turbines communicate so that the algorithm can adjust by itself, right? That's the typical usage of machine learning. And if we get 1% of yield or improvement out of a wind park, it's a lot of power already. So, and this power should substitute non-carbon-free units. By the way, this is happening for real in Texas. We are piloting that. Let's talk about the grid. The renewables problems for the grid, they are of several natures. For example, we have here congestion management. We have you need to predict the congestions when you get a lot of energy. You need to secure the supply, because each and every cable needs to be up and running, right? It needs to be working. So with machine learning, we can predict which cables can be replaced, should be replaced before they break. So it's a predictive maintenance case of that. And ideally, we enable off-grid setups. Off-grid means you don't have to be kind of attached to the grid. You can have a local setup where you can consume your energy in a very autonomous way. And this one is happening as well. We are running this kind of projects in an island in Sweden. In an island, why? Because one island is by definition disconnected from the grid. And we managed to have all the assets in a way with algorithms that 140 households, they can live completely off-grid, and they are completely autonomous. I can show you here that with our algorithms, we enable that 10% of all with 10% of cables change, we prevent 50% of our outages. So we save a lot of money and a lot of effort in terms of replacing the right cables. Let's talk about this, for me, the enemy, what's making energy not sexy, which is the kilowatt hour. Right? Nobody knows the consumption. If I ask you, what's your consumption, how much kilowatt hour you consumed yesterday? Probably nobody knows. Why? Because it's not tangible. So for me, to make energy sexy again, so we need to bring it to your home. We need to make your home more intelligent. And for that, we need to make your home sensing. Sensing means that your home can adjust to you, to your needs. And you need to stop talking about a kilowatt hour. We need to start talking about washing hours, hours of TV, actually the use cases of your energy. For that, for example, we are creating something called disaggregation. With one smart meter, we can measure the consumption of your home, right? But we cannot just measure what you are consuming this energy with. And with AI techniques, we can break down your consumption to the particular devices. For example, we can tell, well, here you can see the blue rectangle there is a washing cycle being identified, which means that we can, applying AI, understand when you are washing, when you are watching TV, when your fridge is on. And it turns the game, because then you stop talking about kilowatt hour and you start talking about something really cool, which is washing time, TV time, fridge on, fridge off, which means that at the end of the day, you can even have different ways of buying or selling energy. I buy washing time, for example, right? If your home is aware of what's going on your home, then you can personalize it, and your home can adjust and can help you adjust your energy consumption, can help you save, yeah? But for that, your home needs to be aware of what's going on. And for that, we can apply deep learning techniques to identify the objects. I'm going to show you one example we've done here with a TV spot from E.ON. One algorithm can identify all kinds of objects without having been trained by that, yeah? Which means, imagine one algorithm can run in your home to identify what's in your home and can help you just by identifying these objects to define energy-saving strategies. And to be honest, then you would care about energy. Then would you find energy more sexy. And that's what we're after. And last slide here is the pending topic of e-mobility. I think it was brought before by a previous speaker. E-mobility got many problems. One is psychological, which is the certainty that I can get to my destination. And for that, AI can help. Data can help plan the right journeys, on one hand. On the other hand, we can optimize the battery lifetime. It's not only material science, it's a lot of data processing and understanding when a battery needs to be reloaded, for which you need to apply machine learning techniques. And last but not least, also, my vision, or our vision, is to consider the car, the electric car, as a part of your home. Imagine you have a battery of your car, and this battery of your car can be used to feed energy back into your home when it's needed, and the other way around. So your car is a mobile part of your home, and that can be done with intelligent algorithms deciding when to do what. So I think if we apply this kind of intelligence, we can contribute with data and with AI to save a bit of this earth and to get ourselves a bit more carbon-free, for which I think data scientists, they got the opportunity to become a bit of superheroes of tomorrow. Yeah, thank you very much.
That's gone great.
Now it's getting real.
It's going to bring you forward a little bit so we can put the chairs in behind us. I'm just going to remind you as well, whoever would like to ask a question, please do line up over here, and our volunteers hopefully will help you. When you hear the sound, you'll turn from one speaker to the next and answer the question. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. It should be clear enough. But the first thing, I certainly want to ask you a question as well, is when we think about, power as well and data, we often think about AI taking over the world and controlling us. But do you see that, or do you see us having, can artificial intelligence put more control back into human hands in a way?
Yeah, to me, artificial intelligence is augmenting our intelligence. It's not replacing. We shouldn't be scared. We need to educate people in terms of how it works, and we need to make sure that people see the benefits, because the benefits are there. And as I said, without these techniques, we cannot answer these questions, and these questions are preventing us from getting where we should be getting at the moment.
I'm going to demonstrate the sound that you'll hear.
Okay.
And we can start.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you. Do you have some ideas for the developing countries at the same time to develop their economic and to protect the environment?
That's a very good question. We are now focused on countries, creating a lot of carbon footprint. But we started a project called Rafiki Power in Africa, just making sure that we secure the supply for villages there. Yeah. I think the right time to kind of educate people in terms of energy consumption is now for developing countries, because they can do a lot of things right, but they can do a lot of things in the wrong way, and we've been here before. So we are kind of in a duty of learn from each other. Hello.
So my question is like E.ON, can you hear me? So E.ON is pretty much doing on solar and wind energy. So I haven't seen any projects like, for example, we can generate energy by walking. So a shoe, a friction can be converted into electricity. So any kind of science in future?
We are investing a lot in understanding these new technologies. We have a startup program where these kind of ideas they are coming. We are also partnering with a lot of companies in Israel, because they are very good in material science, exactly to do that. Again, the technology that's going to be prevailing in the future, so we don't know which one, but we need to keep our eyes open for these kind of things. I'm sure the future is going to be full of new technologies we are not aware of today.
Thank you. Surprise.
Hello. Yeah.
I'm really interested in, what is the first changes that we're going to see in terms of like data and power and things like that? How are we going to experience that first in the next few years?
The first change?
The first changes that we're going to see on a practical level. So you showed the old electricity meter. Like what things are we going to notice? Will we know more about our home? Will we have an app that will control our houses? Like, what's the first tangible thing?
I mean, what needs to be improving a lot is the home experience, I think. In countries like Germany or UK, the smart meter rollout is ongoing already, while UK is more advanced. Sweden is very advanced as well. And I think the more data we get, the more disruptive things to see. But I think the killer application here is going to be developing this awareness by creating services, making your home a part of you. So you're a part of your home, and your home is part of you. Your home can sense you, can understand how you feel, and can anticipate your needs. I think that's going to be changing our lives a bit in the future.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thanks, Juan. Thanks very much. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think the next speaker should be also interesting for you. Shem Magnesi, who is the author of Fuck You Startup World, will be on in a few minutes. So join us in that in a couple of minutes. Okay, thank you.